guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be breaking down your credit score a little bit further. In the last video, we kind of broke down the percentages, exactly what built out the credit score. And today, we're going to break down a little bit more in depth of each bucket. Now, before we get into it, guys, go ahead and click the subscribe button, turn on notifications, give it a like, give it a thumbs up. That way we can support the channel. Let's go ahead and get into the video. So the first most important is the payment history. Now, payment history is your payment history with previous creditors. Now, this is super important, guys. Remember, 35% of your credit score is your payment history. If you miss one payment, that is right, guys, one single late payment that is greater than 30 days, it can wipe out or cancel 24 months of on-time payments. The credit score, guys, is very unforgiving. To have a good FICO score, to have a good credit score, really does take a lot of determination. Making sure your payments are set up properly, making sure they're set up automatic. It seems to be the easiest way. You don't want to be late. You don't want to miss them for really two reasons. One, it is going to have a really big impact on your credit score. Two, there can be fees associated with it. So when you do have a late payment greater than whatever your lending institution offers, you can have fees associated with that, which can also take money away from possibly going towards the principal of your loan that you're paying off with the payment history, guys. Very, very important for both those factors that you do cover them. Second bucket is the amount that is owed. Now, looking at the amount that is owed, the higher that your balances are, and we've talked about this before. So if you have a credit card with a $10,000 limit, the more that you owe on that card, it is viewed as your risk of defaulting or the risk of not paying becomes much greater as balances get much greater. Also, credit score, also looking at the amounts owed, you can look and say, hey, you're living outside of your means because you're supplementing your income with credit card debt. When you start getting $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 in credit card debt, that is a significant amount to come back from without a dedicated plan, which we covered in previous videos with our budgeting method, our 50-30-20 rule, making sure that you really do stick to those hard principles and making sure that you do repay the debt that you borrow before it gets to the kind of the tipping point where, you know, the extreme is a lot of people declaring bankruptcy, settling for less than the amount. There are a lot of things that can come with the debt that is accumulated. Now with that, guys, it's very important to live with inside your means. I know it is very difficult to delay the gratification of having something. For instance, you know, most people are buying things with zero down on a house, zero down on a car, zero down. Can you make the affordable payment? Can you make the monthly budget? Is it worked into your budget? Do you have all the details in there? A lot of people just look at the car payment. They don't include the insurance. When they don't include the insurance, they might not include the maintenance costs. They might not include the gas costs. There are a lot of costs when you buy something with the amounts owed that can really affect your credit. Again, making sure that you do have that budgeted in. Next bucket we look at is the length of credit, guys. Now, this is one of the important parts where a lot of people say, hey, if I do XYZ, if I close out this credit card, is it going to affect my score? The question or the answer is possibly. Now, what I mean by this is the longer that you have credit established, the lenders and the FICO scores are going to look at that. So let's say you're 18 years old, you open up your first credit card, you have that credit card till you're 25. You have built up 7 years of credit history with that card. If you close that card out, essentially you're eliminating those 7 years of your payment history, which again can have a big impact on your score for two reasons. One, it is limiting the length of credit for the card. By closing it out, again, you're eliminating those 7 years. And also it can increase the amount owed because you're limiting the capacity. So if you close out a card, let's say that card again had a $10,000 limit, you are now limiting the amount, the capacity of your cards in total by the $10,000 that you owed. So if you have, and again, follow me with this one, if you have two cards, each one has a $10,000 limit, you have $20,000 of available credit. If you eliminate one of the lines, well, now you have $10,000 of available credit, which again can kind of affect your score because now your available credit is much lower. And also with that card is if you are carrying a balance on there, now the capacity of the card, which means in relationship to the amount you have available to how much you have borrowed, greatly increases because again, you're limiting the credit that you have in there. Now, credit mix, little 10%, it's just a little part of it. A mix of credit, retail accounts, installment loans, finance companies, mortgage loans. You don't really need to have each one, but lenders do want to see at least two forms of credit or of credit history that you have had in the past. For a majority of credit cards, they are kind of something that can carry on for many, many years. When you look at auto loans, it's a set rate, set date with most of them, meaning that if you do a 5-year loan, in 5 years, that loan is going to be paid off. Same with installment loans. If you're doing, if you borrow $5,000 for 36 months, well, in 36 months, those are going to be paid off. Mortgage loans do have a tendency to be on there much longer, 10 years, 15 years, 20, even 30 years with mortgage loans. So again, the credit mix not only helps when you have multiple forms, just showing your ability to pay and your ability to manage credit, but also again, when you look at things like mortgage loans for 30 years, it can really build up the length of credit if you are carrying a mortgage for 30 years. So you can kind of see how everything is kind of going together. The credit score is not built in a bunch of different buckets. The credit mix can affect your length of credit. Your length of credit can also affect the capacity or the amount that is owed, which of course payment history is always the most important thing. And the final one, guys, is 10%, which is searching for and acquiring new credit. So it shows that opening a lot of credit accounts within a short amount of time represents a greater risk. So if you go out and you open 5 credit cards at the same time, chances are, if you're getting those, they have a very short length of credit, and there's no reason for anyone to have 5 credit cards. It really doesn't make logical sense. Acquiring new credit, 1 or 2 pulls per year is pretty normal, depending on how you shop and how you manage your budget. Most people may pull their credit once, maybe every 3 to 5 years when you're looking for a major purchase. Because you have credit cards, you're building that length of credit history. You're not acquiring new credit. You haven't, you might get an auto loan, you might get a mortgage, you might do, a home equity line to do some home improvements. There's a couple things about that you'll go ahead and pull some new credit, but again, it's not regularly pulled. And again, payment history, guys, is the biggest part. You have to make your payments on time. Set them up. I recommend setting them up on automatic payments. Makes it easy for you to manage exactly what you have. Keeping the amounts owed low, not really focusing too much on like a mortgage or an auto loan, things of that nature, but the amounts owed has a direct impact to the credit cards. So making sure, guys, that you keep the balance with the debt elimination that we did before. Step 2 is eliminating our debt. Building that emergency fund, of course, was the first one. Step 2, eliminating the debt, meaning that when you acquire new debt, that is now going to be your primary focus. You're actually going to go back to whatever you're on, back to that paying off the debt. So if you take a loan out for 60 months and you can pay it off in 36, absolutely, guys, you're going to be saving yourself years of interest. I know it will affect the length of credit, but when you do not have debt, you have the ability to pay off or the ability to save a lot more money, invest a lot more money. And that way, next time when something comes up, you might not have to borrow the money because you do already have the money saved. All right, guys, so that'll do it for today's video. Again, let me know in the comments what you guys think. I love doing this. I have a passion for doing this. The financial counseling, the explanation and the education part of this is very, very interesting to me. So again, let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.